Hey everyone, this is Kai from WCC, and today we're going to finish off Raging Tactics with Spike Brothers. Now, Spike Brothers is one of those clans that not that many people like. It's not as popular, especially in Japan compared to everywhere else. So it doesn't see as much play, but also for a good reason. Force clans have so many options right now. You can choose, every clan is a Force clan. But all Force clans are pretty strong. Like every single new Force clan that comes out, like Shadows, really really strong. So there's a lot of competition for the best Force clan, and Force clans kind of just come and go. They're either the best one set, and next set they're like not that great. So Spike Brothers is just kind of in that weird spot where it's both not that popular, and also like not not the strongest Force clan in my opinion. So we'll go through the deck first. Talk about how it's played, some of the new cards I've added in. I've actually separated this time into old cards and then new cards, so we can go from there. And I'll just explain all my thoughts on Spike Brothers and how they have changed and are played now. So previously, when Spike Brothers just got released in standard, there were two modes to play Spike Brothers. One was just your average slam your hand, everything gets super fat, and just destroy your opponent really quickly kind of thing. But there was also another way where you could actively deny them damage, pressure their rearguards with your Cyfried, like force them to guard that rearguard, or they will have to eat a Siegfried on hit, and then you'll get to retire something and get a restand off. And then when they guard that, then your last rear can just bash that rear guard again, and then they're stuck at no damage kind of thing. And slowly control the game, dictate the pace of the game, slow the game down so that your compression becomes better with Juggernaut Maximums, Brackies, and Wonder Boys. Also, your deck didn't require much Counterblast except for Cyfried's Counterblast 1 to gain a bunch of power. So you were pretty free in that respect, and you could just slow the game down until your deck was compressed and full of triggers, and then start pushing him from there, and just doesn't have any resources because he didn't have any counterblast. But the metagame has changed now. The game is faster. You have to deal with Excel clans getting huge, getting advantage, and pushing the game really fast. You can't really play that strategy as effectively anymore. But luckily, Spike Brothers did get some nice offensive options, so they don't really have to wait around either. So your grade ones that you're basically just keeping everything that gains advantage. Like before, Spike Brothers relied a bit more on hit to get advantage, only with their Spike Bouncer being this excellent card that just gave you a plus for free. But now you have cards that also plus a lot for free. So old stuff, we've still got our Gary Gannon, because he's just a nice on hit hand filter kind of thing and generates soul. Wonder Boy gets back your triggers or cards that you need, gets power, goes to soul every turn, and compresses your deck. We're only running one Gyro Slinger now because there's just a lot of good stuff that you can play instead. But you can replace a Bad End Dragon for a Gyro Slinger, or even just change this Gyro Slinger to another Gary Gannon if you like that more, and wants them more consistent with Cyfried. And then this new card you're running is Offensive Punter. Now this card is nice. It's got like a on ride, call it out kind of thing, so you can immediately just be offensive with it. This other effect, you Soul Blast 1 against 2K at the end of turn, you can bottom deck and draw a card. So it's a nice little kind of filter if you want to use Soul, because there are pretty decent ways to just make a field now with Ronaldo. So we'll look into Ronaldo next. It's just when you call him or when you ride him, in Counterblast 1, look up at the top of your deck equal to the current grade of your Vanguard. So if Ronaldo's your current Vanguard, you look 2. If you have a grade 3, you look 3. And then you call 3. You can call up to 3 cards from the cards that you looked at onto the field. So if you have a grade 2 Vanguard, you can call it out and get 2 cards. If your Vanguard's grade 3, you can call all 3 out. The big thing is with this card is that you got to put in a card from your hand. So it generates soul. It's like it's kind of a, it's not a +3. It's more like a +2 kind of thing. But if you include you calling this out, it's like a kind of a +1 from hand. But it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Basically, what it does is it generates a good field for only 1 cost of hand. The key thing you don't want to do with this card is just look at top 3 and see all triggers. Then you just feel really, really bad. The rest of the cards that you don't call just go to the bottom of the deck. But basically, yeah, this card is really good. Generates soul. and calls out a whole field for you. And then you're still running your spike bouncer. Amazing grade 2. Get you a free card. Well, not just to get you a free card. Plus is 1, pretty much. And then when you finish using him, you just put him soul and draw a card. And high speed Bracky, still an excellent grade 2, especially when you call him out early. 20k, hits numbers, really hard to guard against. Your opponent kind of wants to kill it out, or you just get another one for free next turn. And you're still running your general Cypher at grade 3. With me, I generally want to ride Cypher first. You have that nice on-hit effect, so when your opponent is on lower damage, they have to think of guarding it or not. But now with General Cypher, you can just kind of like shove, use this effect multiple times, make a big field, and just push damage for your second ride of Deadbeat Bull Spike. Now, how I look at this is that I first want to ride General Cypher. Yeah, you have the on-hit, then you have the big pump that puts in a bunch of stuff into your soul, makes your whole field big. Your opponent's forced to either guard with all their cards in their hand, or they just take a bunch of damage. Then your next ride of Bull Spike. You now have 2 force markers. You can now pass the force markers around, and then generate like big amounts of guard. Well, big offensive push. Your opponent has to devote a lot of cards to guard again, and just take the damage. And then if they guard, you get the second effect of Bull Spike off, which is retire card and draw a card. So all good there. One thing that's really annoying for me is that when I ride Bull Spike first, you only have 1 force marker, so it feels like it's not worth it to pass it around. And then if you go force 2 instead, then you can kind of play like a weird control game, but your things don't really hit that big. So I don't really think it's that worth it. I generally still just go force 1 with this deck. You just push hard early, push fast early, and then with those force 1 columns later on, just make them guard like double force markers every single turn. Because you've pushed early with Cypher, you should have at least enough soul to do at least 2 turns of like a 3 switch. So yeah, 2 turns of aggression from there should be enough to kill your opponent. And lastly, we're running just like 1 bad end dragger. This is like your 5th ride that is kind of good for your first ride, because later on you get to call him out when you ride on top of it. It just serves as an extra beater. It can counterblast 1 and get a crit, which is kind of decent. And yeah, it has the on ride call out and retire column effect. So that's like a nice plus. Generally, you still want to go Cypher first, but yeah, the dragger is just there. It's kind of like a flex slot that you can kind of replace with another card. You can add another grade 2 or another grade 1. Another Gyro Slinger is fine too. So yeah, that's basically Spike Brothers in a nutshell. I know a lot of people are very dedicated to Spike Brothers. I know like Living Proof and all that and Hearth from Europe, very dedicated players. Cyril as well. So lots of big fans for Spike Brothers in the West. So big shout outs to you guys for keeping up with Spike Brothers. So yeah, that's basically it with Spikes. Where it sits in the meta, it's a bit tough to say. You're facing when you face against things like Pale Moon. The way I initially look at the matchup where you want to control a Pale Moon play just doesn't exist anymore, because they have nothing to control. Everything goes to their soul. So you just have to go. You just gotta have to go full out and just bash their face, and that works out. That's basically how you got to do it. Same kind of thing with Murakuma, but they leave a bit more cards out on the field. So there's more things for you to beat on, but generally you still want to just bash them as hard as you can. It's pretty annoying when they have Shiryuki, because they can just lower your aggressive power, but at the same time, you're kind of simplifying the game because you're tying some of their stuff, so it all kind of works out in the end. And then against other Force clans, it's kind of a coin flip in a way with how Force matchups work. Both clans hitting really big numbers. And then against Protects, I don't think, like, it's not that many Protect clans aren't really popular. Probably the more popular ones right now would be Dark Irregulars or Mega Colony. And honestly, in my opinion, you just don't have a great matchup against either of them. You can't really... Against Dark Irregulars, you might have a better matchup. You both kind of grind each other out. But Dark Irregulars can kind of just like tank and grind. And then against Mega Colony, they get a bunch of cards for free into their hand, so it's just generally a really, really bad matchup for you. So overall, Force clans, Spike Brothers, Force Clan is not that popular right now, but if you like AFL, well, it's not AFL in America. It's NFL. Yeah, if you like football, basically, um, just yeah, Spikes is still around. They got a decent upgrade. Not as popular. You can probably surprise a lot of people who don't really know much about Spikes with some of your nice Ronaldo plays, and then you're confusing on hit not on hit things. So yeah, check them out. Spikes is kind of cool, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.